Welcome to the Alaskan Journey podcast with Jamin Goecker. The purpose of this podcast is to answer questions for those who are thinking of moving to Alaska and for those who are currently living here. This episode features commercial fishing captain Joseph Gugel.
So you kind of mentioned this before, and obviously we were going to touch on this. What are some of your best memories you can remember of commercial fishing?
Oh boy. That is a really good question. I think probably one of the first one that comes to mind when I was 6. We actually caught a baby grizzly bear. Like we literally
What?
yeah, we
While
were,
commercial fishing?
Yeah.
What?
Well, we didn't catch it in our net. We were cruising down the beach. We were traveling from point A to point B, and we saw this little brown something running down the beach. And my dad thought it must be an otter or something. And of course, he's got a 6-year-old son, so he's like, "Joseph, look over here." And we got in closer to the beach, and sure enough, it's a little grizzly cub, and it is making tracks. I mean, it's run a mile and a half. Right, mile and a half, verging on 2, and we're like, "There's no sow around here," so we got the harebrained idea. Let's go to the beach and catch it, and
Because why not?
because why not? And so we did, and I was 6. I didn't do much in the helping of the catching, right? And we called Fish and Game, and they're like, "Well, you're not supposed to do that. And you should put it back on the beach and just do that." And I cried I cried and cried and cried. I thought I was going to keep a baby grizzly bear. I was so thrilled I was going to keep a baby, a grizzly bear cub. But yeah, I actually got to touch it at one point when we were feeding it. So that was one of the good ones. Let's think of something really a little bit more recent. I mean, there's been good memories in the good times and the bad. I've had every memory from, one of the times we were fishing in really, really rough weather. I got flipped over in our power skiff and went in the water, and power skiff got swamped. And, that's one of those things you look back and that helped me grow. We've had,
I guess so for a power skiff, is that like a smaller boat? I guess kind of give me scale here. So
okay,
it doesn't sound good one way or the other.
So to put that in perspective, that story, we were fishing off of Keller, which is on the mainland to the west of Kodiak Island, off the west side of Kodiak Island. And our main boat, our seiner, is 58 feet long. That's the maximum length you can have. So it's 58 feet long, 16 feet wide. And you use what's called a purse seine, which is a 1/4 mile long. It's got styrofoam floats. We call them corks because back in the day they were actually cork. But back when my dad was 8 years old and rowing a skiff, they were corks, right? But styrofoam floats along the top, lead line along the bottom, and a purse line to. So when you make a circle, right, you got a skiff on one end that's about 22 feet long nowadays they're getting up to 700 horsepower in them, right? But, 300 to 700 horsepower. And what you do is you control that whole 1/4 mile long seine with your 58 footer on one end and your 22 footer on the other end. And you hold it out, you let the fish kind of build up against it. Then you circle them up and then you draw in the bottom like a drawstring on a purse. And that's where it gets the name purse seining. And so we were fishing in probably 12 to 15 foot seas, and we ended up with a rogue wave. Every now and then, in the right tide conditions, with the wind going the right way, you get waves tend to stack up. And I had a wave literally push the boat backwards and upside down. It just drove it back into the water.
Thank you for listening, and if you'd like to hear more of this conversation, follow the link to the Alaska Journey podcast in the description of the video.